training's gone through. I'm the facilitator, and I'm a pagan from the US, so that's all I'm going to be saying. The panelists have decided by their own lot or rune draw or whatever method the order of speakers. And the first up is Shay de Montfort. Each panelist will be speaking for about 12 minutes, introducing themselves and saying a bit about what it's like being a pagan in modern Australia and what their experience of the Parliament is and what they'll be taking away from it. So first up, Shay, if you will please.
Honestly, this is the way that we have been pictured for centuries, for 400 years. There are four of us in Australia, and they've never been to talk beneath the mask. What's under the mask? Who am I? They asked us to introduce ourselves. So let's shed some skin, do some enthusiasm, and see who really is underneath. All of the misconceptions, all of the lies, all of the things they've told us about witches. Myself, I'm just a mother of two. I'm Shay. You want to get to know me? Spend some time with me. Hey, I've done a lot with the Australian pagan community. If I stand here, can you actually hear me better? Yeah. Oh, that's good. I've been involved in the Australian pagan community in Australia here for about 20 years. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But what I want to do very briefly today is not so much talk about me. I want to sort of go through 8 big misconceptions about the craft, things that aren't true, a couple of things that are true about us. Let's flick through them quickly because we've only got 10 minutes. And at the end, if you've got any questions, we can answer those. So we have these popular witch images that are based on Margaret Hamilton and The Wizard of Oz or Stephen King style horror movies. And Hollywood gives us a real bad rap. But are these accusations about witchcraft true? I mean, during the 1970s, we had a plethora of these magazines come out with all of these sensational stories about witchcraft and paganism. You know, unfortunately, the truth doesn't sell papers. Right? So they sensationalised it because, hey, it made good press. And even Shakespeare was guilty of a propaganda thing. If you read his early works before King James I came into England, they were very pro-pagan and pro-magic and pro-witchcraft. But when the witch hunt started with King James, he flicked, and we had Macbeth. Oh my goodness. You know, if we could have got 3 of us cackling around the cauldron, you would have gone straight away, I know what they are. Right? But Shakespeare reversed his propaganda line later. Why? What we want to do is put you in the judgment seat. Are any of these misconceptions about witches true? Right? How will they stand up under cross-examination? So let's have a look at popular misconception 1. What does it mean to be a witch? Right? It's come to convey a person who's bent on nastiness, and sometimes they'll just change the first letter to B. Right? If you have a look at the fear that's actually associated with the word, where do people get that fear of that actual word witch from? If you have a look at the dictionary definitions of the word witch, they're not very flattering. A female sorcerer, magician, somebody who's bent on working with this devil, an ugly or an evil-looking old witch, I'm really not comfortable with that. A fascinatingly attractive and beautiful, charming, young-appearing woman, okay, all right, I'll wear that one. But in wickedness, I mean, honestly, the dictionary doesn't help our cause. They've taken the popular misconceptions and put them in as the dictionary definitions. See, when you're defining a person's spirituality, you've really got to ask them about it. So let's have a look at how we define our own spirituality. Not the bad press that's been given, and believe me, ill definitions of witches continue today in Nigeria and Papua New Guinea. I don't know if you read the papers about the witch slaughters over there, and massive amount of children that are being killed because they're being accused of these negative forms of witchcraft. See, while some have it forced on them by society, and some are given definitions from papers, others embrace it. So are witches spiteful and evil? Do we hex and curse other people? Well, there's no point trying to tell you that there's no such thing as a hex or a curse. You've only got to go over to Bali and see them selling them on the streets there. But anybody who has ever practiced magic knows that there is a whole field of like Newtonian physics involved, right? That is like reaction, action, reaction, and cost. Right? That is what the threefold law is, not like popularised in some books by people who don't really understand it. Essentially what that means is the first time you ever try to do something that's not nice towards another person, it will come back and bite you on the bum so hard, you'll never do it again. So any practicing witch is not bent on anything that is spiteful, nasty and evil. Are witches a lunatic fringe group? No, we're not. When you actually stop to have a look at the areas of the world that are occupied by people who practice indigenous magic, you'll soon realise we're actually the biggest religion in the world. It takes in areas of Asia, Africa, Middle Europe, as well as India, all practice some form of what would be defined as witchcraft. I mean, apart from witchcraft actually being the indigenous practices of Middle Europe, that are now, for the first time last year, being taxed as a taxable service to the community in Russia and Romania. Now, are witches Satanists?
Through the dark and cold winter long, they hold together in ancient song, waiting for the spring to set them free by